Welcome everybody to the WCA 2016 Asian Pacific Qualifiers. Today we have some exciting matches. Execration versus Axion Arena and MVP Phoenix versus the Mongols. And I'm really excited to see how these matches unfold because I've been following them in other tournaments, and these teams are improving really fast. First of all, Axion Arena, they were kind of a new rising team in the SEA region. As far as I know, they're a Filipino team, and they've been upsetting quite a few established teams lately, and I'm excited to see how they do against Execration. And as for the Mongols, this team hasn't really been publicized too much in the SEA region, but whenever they participate in these tournaments, last time I saw them, they beat First Departure, and today they're up against MVP Phoenix. Like, without a doubt, one of the strongest teams in the SEA region, so I'm really excited to see how they do against MVP. As for going into the first match, I think Execration versus Axion Arena, these two teams, them both being from the Philippines, going back to the tournament, I think the WCA right now, it has 5 game genres right now: the StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, Hearthstone, Dota2, Counter-Strike, Global Offensive. And for Dota, as you can see, it's a huge prize pool right now. This is not the grand finals, but rather for the APAC. First place is 35 million, over 35 million won. Second place, half of that, 17 million. Third place, 9 million almost, and for the rest it's like 1 million. Yep. And today we're gonna have Execration versus TnC Dota, and the Mongols versus Phoenix. And on Friday, 3 days from now, we'll have Signature Trust versus Mineski, Orange Tearing versus Warriors Gaming Unity. Well, today's match, Execration versus TnC. Execration usually known for their heavy teamfight style, but TnC is, if not one of the most aggressive teams in the SEA region right now. So we're gonna see these two teams duke it out. This is an elimination match, so these teams have to go all out. And as for the Mongols versus MVP Phoenix, I think the Mongols are more about strategy. They've shown some really crazy strategies, but yeah, we'll have to see how it turns out. These are the players for Execration. Lumik, I'm not sure which position he plays. He might be a stand-in right now. Nando is the carry, and RR, the support. Abed, one of the, individually, I think this guy is one of the most talented mids. And TIMS, the offlane. BYBB, Heho. As for TnC, we have AU, the captain of this team, and Tihi. He's the master of unconventional mid-heroes like the Juggernaut, Raven, the carry. Sam H is the offlane who has been playing a lot of Nature's Prophet lately, and before it was a meta hero, he used to play that a lot. And Cuckoo, I don't think he's in TnC, but he may be a stand-in for this tournament. Going into set 1, I think my personal predictions are that Execration should take it because they're simply the more experienced team. As I mentioned earlier, Axion Arena, they're a rising team, but they haven't had too many tournament runs with the roster as far as I know. So Execration should come out ahead, but whenever I make these kind of predictions, just with anyone, you can be wrong. So we'll have to see what Axion Arena have prepared for today's match. Axion Arena, I think, are I mean, the last time I saw them, they were playing a lot of cool strategies, and Execration play a lot of straight up team fight Dota. They just pick 5 stuns or like 4 AoE heroes, and I feel like Axion Arena's success today is going to depend on a lot of the draft and the strategy they have prepared. It's gonna come down to the draft basically. It's how I see it. And for Mongols versus Phoenix, I mean, I think on the betting sites and such, it's an accurate. Whenever you see the odds for the match, you can have a pretty good idea of like who's likely to win. And without even looking at it, I'm sure Phoenix is they're at like 9-1 odds. But when I was on MVP Phoenix, we lost to Mongols once. It was a long time ago. So this team, the Mongols, they're quite veterans. The roster has been around for a while, and they know each other. They can, like, for sure cause an upset. I'm just eager to see Execration versus Axion Arena right now because I haven't seen too much of Axion Arena, but I know that they've caused a lot of upsets and ripples lately. So I just want to see how they do in the big tournament like this, the WCA APAC qualifiers. And I mean, this is kind of going off topic, but lately I've been playing a lot of ranked games in the SEA region, and I've met a lot of the Execration players, you can tell, because they use their team marks. And I mean, what I notice is that they are pretty up to date in terms of like picking the right heroes. I always feel like when I watch their games that they lose because their heroes don't come together as well. Their timings are a bit off. For instance, in the game against Fnatic just a few days ago, I noticed that they picked some really strong heroes, but like Fnatic just I wouldn't say win the laning phase, but they pressured very fast. Like only 6 minutes into the game, they would rotate some heroes from mid to the Execration safe lane and start pushing down towers. And Execration, like during the draft, it looked like they had such a strong lineup, but they just get ran over because everyone was busy farming, and they had a plan for the game which was like interrupted by Fnatic's pace of the game. So they had these like Svens, the Darkseers, like Invokers. If you just gave them 10 minutes of time to get their core items online, they would be able to teamfight Fnatic. But Fnatic was just the better team in terms of realizing what Execration wanted to do. And as I mentioned earlier, I think Axion Arena, if they know what Execration wants to do, then they can put a stop to what Execration play best, which is, in my opinion, getting items on all their cores, running at your opponents in the mid game at key timings, and taking Roche, going high ground when you have a critical threshold on your carry, like the Sven having BKB, Sanjin Yasha, Blink Dagger, possibly a Moonshard and a Daedalus on top of having an Aegis. That's kind of the Dota that they seem to play. But I mean, times are changing. People are adapting really fast. So I'm not gonna assume that I know these teams inside out. To tell you the truth, on Axion Arena, I almost have no data on this team, and I think it's not just me. It's just everyone kind of was taken by surprise by how this team just appeared out of nowhere and started causing upsets. So I think the draft started, and we'll get right into it. Oh boy, remaining. I may have mistaken today's schedule, but it's TnC remaining versus Execration, and I'm sorry guys, it was an honest mistake because both the teams are from the Philippines. I kind of mistook Axion Arena for TnC. TnC gonna go with a Bounty Hunter pick first. Bounty Hunter ban versus the Earth Spirit. I think this is really reflective of what's going on in the ranked pub game meta nowadays. Both these heroes, like the forward position supports that roam around that pressure not only the mid, but potentially the enemy safe lane, your own safe lane, and without these heroes, you can be more free about picking your mid heroes, because some matchups just simply do not work out when you have a bounty hunter roaming around. Like, for example, when you have like you want to run a Death Prophet, but the opponent has Invoker on top of like an Earth Spirit, then like once the creep wave is on their side of the ramp, you can't even go to CS. So both these teams prefer to take these annoying supports out and just play standard Dota. TnC taking a bit of their time with their second ban, which is weird because coming to a match, you usually have them have the bans planned out pretty much, because they don't really change unless the opponent bans it for you. Execration gonna go with the Doom ban. TnC taking their sweet time. I think some okay, Nature's Prophet. This is one of the scarier heroes that TnC has. I mean, a lot of teams are picking Nature's Prophet right now because it's become a meta hero. But TnC was a team that used to pick Nature's Prophet when it was not popular at all. Nobody picked Nature's Prophet except TnC during that time. So these guys are a master of Nature's Prophet and running it aggressively. And Execration immediately respond with Invoker Enchantress. I like this opening. For one, Invoker is a flexible enough mid that you can pretty much, first of all, you can run it Wex or Exort depending on what you think your lineup needs. And the Enchantress is, I mentioned the Bounty Hunter and Earth Spirit being the two heroes that roam around. I mean, the two heroes are really similar in nature in that they appear out of nowhere and create chaos. But Enchantress is kind of similar if you have a Smoke of the Sea. TnC gonna go with the PL. I assume that's gonna be a Teehee PL for mid. One of the common, nowadays it's a common counter pick to the Invoker. I'm not 100% certain who popularized it, possibly MVP, but I think MVP also learned from the Chinese, at least the Chinese pubs. And with a PL pick against this Invoker, which is going to be backed by an Enchantress, that's going to be such a value pick for TnC because PL is one of the more elusive heroes by nature anyway, so he can lane against Invoker, and whenever Enchantress makes a rotation to mid, that means he has a free get out of jail card, which is going to prove to be extremely useful.
5 seconds remaining.
TnC though, I think this team has been drafting some new heroes lately. They used to not play Invoker, however I saw Teehee play Invoker just yesterday or the day before, so I'm excited to see what this team is going to pick up next, because it may be a Raven Phantom Lancer, not the usual Teehee mid PL.
Reserve time.
Execration took their time with their fourth ban, but banned the OD. That explains the ban. They wanted Faceless Void, but OD can be very annoying when you are playing Faceless Void, because the Astral Imprisonment, first of all, OD are OD players are likely to get Blink Dagger, which means they can dodge the Chrono, and then if you don't Chrono the OD and you OD his teammates, then he can come in and Astral kind of, it has almost exact same duration as Chrono, meaning your Chrono is kind of useless, and for Faceless Void to be worth a pick, you have to have at least an average Chrono, and without, with the Astral Imprisonment on your allies from the opposing side, that's going to mean you have a pretty crap Chrono. Interesting Witch Doctor pick. I suppose it's for the Enchantress. It's like the Enchantress is going to roam around to bid or the safe lane of TnC most likely, but heroes like these, like the Enchantress, Crystal Maiden, Mirana, are going to make sure that they have some kind of countermeasure against the creeps that Enchantress might bring, like the Satyr Hellcaster, which can be extremely annoying in the lane. But with the Witch Doctor, you can kind of stun it, and if you are lucky enough with the procs, possibly it bounces to the big creep and then to neutral, the normal creeps, and then back you can get like a 7-second stun on a creep, which is enough to kill it down in most situations. But for Execration though, I think Faceless Void is going to get a lot of help from the Enchantress, because with the new creeps, Enchantress can send so many like the Faceless Void is such a annoying offlaner to zone out in the first place, but if he gets help from the Enchantress, that's gonna mean the TnC have to expend so much resource into securing their safe lane. And a Lion pick for Execration, I think this is mainly for the PL control. Usually Lion is going to be, no matter what kind of carry you play, Lion is almost always annoying. But for the PL, they don't have the best control against PL. Right now they don't have AoE, they have an Invoker which needs a lot of items and levels to actually do AoE damage and clear all the illusions. But Lion is going to make it so that you can possibly get an Impale, find the real one, hex it, and then lock it down. But TnC they are going to respond with a Spectre pick, which is one of their recent discoveries. This team, I think one of their main weaknesses in the past has been their less than diverse draft. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have a lot of heroes that they play, but some heroes it felt as if they refused to play. But Spectre is now one of their, it seems, favorite heroes based on how often they've been picking it, and they play very well. It suits their playstyle quite well. Just being around on the map with the Nature's Prophet, Spectre, it's gonna create some crazy global presence. In a game recently against MVP Phoenix, was it? Yeah. TnC ran this lineup and they were down like 15k gold, and with some smart plays between the Nature's Prophet, Spectre, and Clinks, they were able to actually come back from the game, and the Raven on Spectre had a godlike streak. I just love watching a fun Spectre team instead of just sitting back and farm. These guys actually use it aggressively. The Haunt is there to aid your team into getting solo pickoffs and making the opponents scared of running out of the map. Execration's final ban is the Mirana, which I find interesting because they already have the Witch Doctor to somewhat counteract the Enchantress, but I don't think Mirana would have been a likely choice for TnC. They don't even have very good setup for the Mirana arrows. It's like the Nature's Prophet Sprout is a semi-stun. Like if you have a Quelling Blade or a Tango, you're not going to hit Mirana arrows, and Witch Doctor's stun is only 1 second, meaning Mirana has to skill shot it anyway. And they're going to pick Meepo. I mean, I don't see how Mirana would have been good against Meepo anyway, but
10 seconds remaining.
Hey, it's sort of like the earlier prediction I made, even though I got the teams wrong. The Execration actually have something new, the Meepo. I don't think TnC saw this coming, which is kind of funny because when TnC first came into the scene, one of the signature picks that they had was the Meepo, where AU would usually the support player, he would go to play Meepo, and I think it was it might have been Tihi or one of their older cores that switched to the support role. But now they're getting Meepo'd and they have one hero left. I'm wondering what they pick. It could be like an Earthshaker. Not assuming, but they have 3 cores already between the Nature's Prophet, Phantom Lancer, Spectre. So they need another support that can deal with the Meepos. And so far their counter Meepo is pretty bad. So smart pick by Execration, but TnC still do have a chance to somewhat
10 seconds
overcome
remaining.
this draft. They're going to go with the Nyx Assassin, which is quite surprising. I'm not aware that Nyx is that good against Meepo. I mean, I could see the Impale being very good, but how is he going to land it? Like the Meepos are going to come in with Blink Dagger, and Nyx Assassin on the support is going to have some crazy hard time farming some actual items like the Blink Dagger, possibly a Force Staff, Aghanim Scepter. Game is paused as per usual, and we can see the Meepo with the boots first start. I'm wondering if this is a safe lane Meepo or a mid Meepo, because either could work. I think the Invoker safe lane, while not ideal, might work because Meepo on mid is very nice to get the early levels, and then Invoker could possibly switch afterwards. And Meepo should have no problem versus PL in the early game. TnC going to run straight at the Radiant jungle right now, and AU had the boots first, so Winter G, Small Sun, going to sacrifice himself for the greater good. I think they have to sort of all in on to the Nyx Assassin to become a formidable counter to Meepo. And Meepo, oh, he actually scouted them out. Not sure what they want to do right now, because blocking the Enchantress camps is kind of, I mean, it's way too far in, and there's the big camp on the secret shop area, so they just came here for possibly a first blood, it seems, but they're gonna move out as Meepo did scout them out, very luckily, I would say. And it is the PL mid.
The battle begins.
Going to say that PL is going to be just fine in this game. The Enchantress could roam on her, but we have to remember that the Nature's Prophet is available, and the way Sam H plays his Nature's Prophet, it's whenever he sees a chance, he's not going to hesitate to just let go of his farm. Like, he might be farming in a lane, but if he sees a chance to actually make a difference. Oh, never. It's a Sam H in the safe lane too, which is quite nice, because they realize that Meepo is going to be a threat if left unchecked, so they're going to go aggro against the Meepo, and then it's not even just going to be a tri-lane. There could possibly be a Nature's Prophet TPing in, and this is a one-on-one matchup for the Nature's Prophet, meaning it's going to be a pretty strong Nature's Prophet, relatively speaking. He's going to have a fast phase boots, or just generally a lot of items early on. Invoker looks to be going Quas Exhort. But at the same time, I think TnC have to be very cautious about this Enchantress rotation, because as we mentioned earlier, like as we're seeing right now, those Satyr Hellcasters can actually zone out 3 heroes if you cast your nuke properly. T, the CS score showing 6-4, so he's obviously having a good time right now, but it might be because it's the early levels and he did start out with a 4-man shield, meaning it's going to be that much more efficient against Invoker early on. And never mind, it looks like Invoker's going Quas Wex. I swore I could have, I swear I saw like the red balls around him earlier, but he's going Quas Exhort. Yeah, this bottom lane though, it really is kind of funny that the Enchantress is usually one of the supports that have sentries, but this game he chose to go for the boots first, meaning neither the Lion nor the Enchantress can afford sentries. Because if this was a game where Enchantress started sentry first, they could have wrecked this lane at bottom, I feel. You can just de-war that pull, kind of re-stabilize your creep equilibrium to close to your tower, then Enchantress can get like any combination of creeps would do. it's not a particularly strong aggro trier lane right now. It's a Spectre, Nyx, Witch Doctor, aggro, and okay, Spectre is not a very good aggro hero, but Nyx Assassin is not that good either. He just doesn't really do anything until he has higher levels. He may have good regen, but I don't think that's enough. So TnC clearly going aggro, not as a game plan, but more as a last minute resort to this Meepo pick. Short pause there, and I suppose TnC could wait until Sam H gets level 6 on Nature's Prophet, and they could use the Nature's Wrath to set up some kind of first blood, which seems to be happening anytime soon, based on how they're playing. Nyx Assassin gonna run into a Troll Warlord, I mean, forgive me, I don't really know what that creep is called, but for now, both these teams playing it very cautiously in the bottom lane right now. I wonder who this favors, because Faceless Void can do fairly well against the Nature's Prophet. I don't think melee heroes do that well against Nature's Prophet overall, but considering the context of the game, Faceless Void is going to get higher levels, more items, just as a Nature's Prophet, except that Nature's Prophet obviously is going to be more active in terms of helping out his team because his cooldowns are shorter. Enchantress gonna just come with a haste and chuck an auto attack. I think the thinking process right now for Execration is that they know that the Meepo pick was unexpected for TnC, but TnC is aggroing them, which may have been a surprise for them as well. So as long as they somehow make it so that the Meepo isn't completely crushed, because Meepo doesn't really need anything other than the levels early on. Like the gold, the CS is nice, but you get your levels, you get 2 Meepos, and 2 Meepos is nice, but what you really want is a 3 Meepos, then you can start jungling very efficiently. 5 minutes and no first blood. Considering it's an aggro lane, I'm really surprised because whenever there's a lane with 6 heroes residing in it, it's hard for no one to make a mistake so that the other side responds to it and tries to take advantage of you, especially with the Nature's Prophet. So potentially we're talking about a 7-player lane right now. There's a Witch Doctor, paralyzing cast coming into play. For now, very static. Oh, here we go. Could be a potential first blood. Yep. I'm not sure what the supports were doing on Execration. I think the Lion could have been a bit closer so as to react to that kind of play. But nice first blood for TnC. It's really odd. I don't think I've seen a Spectre aggro in such a long time, but he's been CSing very well. Meepo, I suppose, is not that strong in the early levels, even though he can basically lane against anything at mid. My question right now is when either of these teams are going to give up on the lanes. Like, will TnC be like, this is enough, and rotate their Spectre to the mid lane, top lane, and switch places with Nature's Prophet? Or will Meepo on Execration just go to the jungle and make it so that his supports can get some levels? Like the Lion, I think, desperately needs levels right now, whereas Enchantress, he can jungle. And TnC, nice. Nice gank, but do they have the damage? Where's the Nature's Prophet? Oh, nice chrono. PL. He doesn't have vision on the Invoker right now. Here comes Sam H with it on the Nature's Prophet. What a chaotic fight right now. Meepo gonna get the kill on Nyx Assassin. So 3-for-1 exchange. Very good for Execration. I honestly thought that kill attempt on Invoker would be easier, but Sam H may not have had the teleport cooldown ready. The mana burn, the 2 stuns into mana burn, and Furion TPing in should have been an easy kill, I felt. Especially because Furion's going to be farmed, as we talked about. He's actually the CS leader right now.
Middle tower is under attack.
Played the drums on the Nature's Prophet. But regardless of how this game goes in the early game, I feel like come the mid game, if TnC are not ready for Meepo, they are going to have so much trouble dealing with the Meepo, because Meepo is one of those heroes that are not only just strong in team fights. When he starts snowballing, he actually has crazy global presence, and this is what I kind of wanted to see from TnC. Just, the Nature's Prophet there on time, and just look at how quick the kill is, how clean it is, instead of having to chase so far in. MH gonna come in for some kind of an aggressive harassment. Don't think it's gonna really lead to anything, except that he started that TP from Invoker.
Radiant's middle tower.
I would really like to see the Meepo's levels, but for now, Meepo is at 45 CS.
Radiant structures are
One crazy thing about TnC right now is this, if you look at the ward placement, they want to own the Radiant jungle. They have 4 wards. Probably 2 of them are going to expire soon. It just shows their game plan is find Meepo, kill Meepo, and rinse, repeat. And one of the later objectives probably will be to deny the Meepo of the Aegis. Meepo gonna run away. Yeah, Execration should realize that TnC are going to play very aggressively in the Radiant jungle, and they have to somehow get rid of these wards or make some smoke rotations, kick TnC out.
Radiant's bottom tower.
And Spectre now has a hunt, which he hasn't used all game. Considering he has he had a fairly good lane, considering, like, even though he went aggro, he has early phase boots. And they're gonna go on the Enchantress again. 4 Enchantress should die from this. And they might know that this Invoker doesn't have any help right now, but as they see Faces Void TPing in, they're gonna be very respectful. Execration, I wonder what they're gonna do while the Meepo is away. And if Meepo is not there, Execration's other 4 heroes don't exactly have the most synergetic of lineups, I feel. You can't really do damage onto Chrono unless you blink in with the main Meepo and then the rest of them kind of poof into Chrono, which is hardly something ideal that you want to do as Meepo, because when you poof in and start doing right clicks right away. We'll see how Meepo does.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
He hasn't really died yet, other than the first blood. Nyx Assassin gonna get some much needed levels, as was my concern when he went aggro. This is one of the greedier supports in my opinion, but level 5 at 11 minutes is not too bad. I guess most of his EXP came from being in part of those fights, feeding off some of the cores, because as a tri-lane, he sure as hell didn't get too much EXP from the bottom lane itself. Faces Void gonna ping AU here. So the Lion and Chrono might be expended. The Finger of Death also ready. But they kind of split up, and Lion here gonna meet with the PL. I think that's Nature's Prophet. Nope, not gonna go in. Yeah, Teehee just doppelganging aggressively, but not gonna actually go up the hill. Would have been a pretty risky move. And Void gonna use this Chrono here. This Nyx Assassin who just hit level 6. This duo gang combo would have been so much more dangerous if they had a Exord Invoker, but this game I think the Invoker chose to go for Wex for the control. He doesn't really need to do too much damage as long as Meepo comes online. Meepo has caught up to #1 net worth as should be, because I don't think Meepo can actually win a game if he is not #1 in net worth mid game, early mid game. He has to just be so efficient with this farm. Hit max Meepo, Aghanims, and level 3 Divided We Stand. And they have to kind of win the game, I feel, against TnC and lineup before it's too late. Here, he finds Meepo. It's a nice kill. I think the most needed kill right now for TnC was that Meepo. It's like the other heroes are important too, but if Meepo is not able to come online, then the whole point of Execration's lineup, it just kind of collapses. Before I mentioned that Meepo actually has global presence, so Meepo can be extremely good against heroes like Nature's Prophet, but if TnC play aggressive as per usual, then TnC, never mind. PL. I'm gonna get caught out here. Pretty nice chain stun. Tornado into Impale. But TnC not gonna really be okay with the 0-for-0 trade. 0-for-1 trade, I mean. They want to get even. Eye for an eye. Speaking of which, against the Meepo, I suppose a Spectre going Radiance. I don't know how I feel about Spectre going Radiance. They'll probably go for the Yasha first. The way I feel about Radiance versus Meepo is that first, the miss chance is nice. But the burn damage is not going to be too effective against... Oh, cancel the TP. Nice. It almost looked like Meepo got out, but that was a very timely arrival by AU, captain of the team, knowing what has to be done for... I think AU is often going to be the one, naturally as a captain, making the calls about the win conditions for the team and laying it out for his teammates to execute. Oh, the Spike Curtis goes online, but kind of a sticky situation for AU because they could see that, I mean, they have the Observer wards in the Radiant jungle right now, and he should have known there was a high chance that a lot of the Radiant heroes were going to be in that left side of the map. But he went there for some kind of warding mission, it seems. And here is Teehee. They're using kind of weird nicknames, but Teehee with his Boost of Travel and Alacrity build. He's probably going to go with Refusal. Did he actually get out of this? Nope. Nice kill from Execration. Oh, wow. Orchid is actually available on SamH. That is such a fast Orchid on the Nature's Prophet, who's not even a... I mean, he got a safe lane 1-on-1 against the Void, which makes it so that he's going to be as prosperous as the mid lane and the carry in a way. But that is still such a good Orchid timing. It's not the... I suppose it's an okay item against Meepo, because Meepos are often going to puff out. But in this game, it looks like he has a Boost of Travel, so the Orchid can't cancel the Boost of Travel, but however, it should cancel the... what is it? Puff. So we can see a situation where Nyx Assassin finds the Meepo, and then the Meepos are going to try to puff to the other Meepo, or usually the main Meepo, and he can stun, and Nature's Prophet arrives. Orchid's one of them, and that guy probably won't be able to. He can't puff out, so he'll have to use boosted travel, but it might not always be on cooldown. Next assassin picks up an old talisman. I was gonna say Dagon, but I think Veil of Discord makes more sense here. It's gonna synergize really nicely with his own spells as well as the Nature's Prophet's ult. Possibly the PL Lance is to a lesser extent, but if Spectre gets a Radiance, that's actually gonna be quite a bit more damage from Radiance, as with all magical spells. Execration, they haven't really been taking too many objectives ever. I mean, they took the entire Chrono expended, but AU gets the Impale off before the Chrono. Oh boy. Nature's Prophet in trouble. And Volker barely gets away with that Ghost Walk. This is not a good fight for TnC. I don't think Spectre stands a chance against the Meepo by herself. Meepo is gonna get away. Oh, nice play from Meepo. That was amazing play from Meepo. This is the dream for Execration right now. They just needed the Meepo to come online, and like pre-20 minutes. To be honest, it's not the best timing on Meepo, but this is pretty damn good. He has an Aghanim Scepter and a boost of travel. Probably a Blink Dagger coming soon. Nonetheless, he did get aggroed, but he's back into the game. Not the #1 net worth by a huge margin, but #1 nonetheless. And after the momentum from last game. Oh, here is a combo. However, they're not going to be able to kill the Meepo. The extra magical resistance on Meepo has proven to be very useful. Yeah, just as I say, Meepo has started to trigger the engine of the Meepo train. He himself doesn't get 2 more kills, but he tanked a gank, survived it, and allowed his team to get 3 more. And the nice thing about Meepo in these kind of situations is that he gets ganked, and then he's able to just simply TP all his Meepos to base, because he went boost of travel. Like, even without boost of travel, you can do it with Puff, but with the boost of travel, that means he's going to be back home, and back to the lanes, and able to help out his team in terms of objectives right away without too much delay. When people think of the global presence heroes, they often think of like Nature's Prophet or Spectre or Tinker, but Meepo is actually, it's just hard to micro, but if you are a Meepo player, you are able to be everywhere on the map, which is so scary. T does have that diffusal, but I'm not sure how that item does against Meepo. Like, whether it's probably a good item, that it's good that he has it, but is it going to be enough? Does it really do anything against the Meepos is my question, because the Meepo is one of those heroes that can just multiple poof if he ever gets surrounded by PL illusions and man fight his way out. He doesn't really struggle too much from the PL. It's not like you can just burn down the mana of one Meepo unless you kill him. It's going to stop Meepo from being useful. We're here, Execration, thinking TnC was doing Roche for some reason. Oh, Chrono being expended here. Always on the next assassin, which is kind of funny. Lion with the gem. I'm sure that's been scouted out now. Actually, we haven't talked too much about the Lion, but Lion's been having a pretty good game. All things considered, he didn't have the easiest time in the beginning, but he has an Arcane Boots on a Blink Dagger, and Radiance complete for Spectre. This is going to accelerate Spectre's farm, but more importantly, I think one of the TnC's way to win team fights is to kill everyone that isn't Meepo, and then you leave Meepo for last. Because I think trying to go for Meepo first might be extremely difficult, because his team's gonna just do so much. Like the type of hero Enchantress and Invoker are, they benefit so much when your team is taking stuff for you. And Nyx Assassin is gonna fall here. This is one of the most dangerous timings for TnC right now. They're fighting against an Aegis Meepo, and just I never really thought about it, but their high ground defense is not very good. They have PL, you can maybe chuck a spear or two, but that's not going to really do much. Nature's Prophet is a hero that prevents high ground attempts. He doesn't really do anything in high ground. And Spectre doesn't want to be standing here with Radiance. I think if TnC loses this fight, they are going to pretty much have to tap out. Faces Void. Okay, Meepo, you're gonna use it at Aegis, but there's no Haunt, there's no Spectre. I think this is at least the bottom racks for Execration. Chrono is up. Does Faces Void have Aghanim? I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter. I think it's kind of over for TnC, to be honest. We talked about how Meepo is just gonna come back. They're gonna just push mid right away, and the Spectre Haunt will not be ready by then. TnC is going to be a bit desperate here. They know if they lose maybe like one set of racks, they're thinking, okay, our Spectre has Radiance, we might have a shot at this. But 2 set of racks at the early 20-minute mark is way too much. Just look at how much damage the Meepos are doing. Oh my god, Execration are actually gonna back out of this. They choose to play super safe. I think honestly they could have just gone for the range axe, but who knows? It's a range axe and they're thinking it probably doesn't matter too much. I'm assuming that none of TnC actually have buyback right now, because when you're getting racks like that, your first racks and second racks, you want to stop it at all costs, but no buyback, it seems. And this is going to be do or die for TnC. Meepo does not have the Aegis, that's one thing that is going for TnC. Earlier they had to just use so many spells on the Meepo to deal with the fact that he was mowing down the tower so fast. This time, however, it will be a fair fight in terms of Roshan. I feel like Execration, what they are going to do is not actually start hitting stuff with the Meepo, but just do more damage with Invoker and Enchantress, and Meepo comes in later, or he just hits it with the main Meepo, and then it's easier to micro, not get AoE'd. Yeah, definitely not a very good high ground defense lineup from TnC. There simply isn't enough. You have to be able to kill the creeps. Oh, kind of a chrono dodge there. Oh my god, Faces Void actually survives that. Oh, Spectre. Spectre dies and Meepo is still alive. This is so much trouble for TnC. I think with the Meepo coming in, they can fight and try to kill off TD. Oh, smoke? Kind of a weird smoke. Yeah, Meepo gonna hunt down TD. or rather just go for the racks. He has 2 E-Blades. This is just a pure damage build.
Dire's top
That
tower
means
is
80
under
agility
attack.
for 5 Meepos.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Yeah, Meepo is definitely not scared of PL at this point. And yeah, I'm afraid to say it's GG.
Dire's top barracks has fallen.
I think Execration, they came out with a Meepo,
Top barracks.
I would say kind of a
Radiant
G strat early on, even though they were second pick, but they were able to execute their draft. Nicely done by Execration. And TnC simply did not have the right heroes. Yeah, that was definitely one of the interesting games that I've seen. We haven't seen too much Meepo lately, but Execration going with that Meepo pocket strat in game 1 is even though they were second pick, which means that TnC had 1 hero to deal with the Meepo if they chose to, like an Earthshaker. However, I don't think it was enough. What TnC had, the Nyx Assassin, is simply not a good enough hero in terms of dealing with Meepos when he gets a critical threshold. And they went aggro, thinking they could keep the Meepo down, but I don't think Meepo is one of the heroes that you can simply just aggro and shut down because he just needs levels, as I mentioned earlier, and he can just hit the jungle. And we saw, even with a slow start, Meepo was able to get so many crazy items. Well played by Execration.